Kick-ass facts! Pew, 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 pew! Happy Halloween! Oh, sadly, these aren't prescription. Let's talk about some urban legends that may not be legends after all. Razor blades in the Halloween candy. This urban legend took off in the 1970s as parents feared objects were being placed into Halloween trees like razor blades or sewing needles and apples or poison candy. Don't give out apples. Studies have shown almost no documented cases of genuine tampering. Almost. The most infamous Halloween poisoning case was Ronald Clark O'Brien, dubbed the Candyman. In 1974, he gave his son and other children pixie sticks laced with cyanide to collect his son's life insurance policy, who tragically died after the incident. The case was an isolated, premeditated murder, not random tampering, but it intensified people's fears. He was eventually convicted and executed for the crime. That being said, in 2000, a man in Minneapolis was arrested for hiding Needles and Snickers bars that he was giving out to trick-or-treaters. No one was seriously injured. In 2018, in Marshfield, Massachusetts, a small blade was found in a child's candy bag. Ohio, 2019, a needle found in a Halloween-sized Kit Kat bar. Between the 1970s and the 1990s, hospitals and police in some communities started putting candy through an X-ray. In rare cases, small sewing needles or pins were detected in the candy bars and apples. Razor blades, the most infamous object associated with Halloween candy tampering, was rare, if ever, and when it was found, it was almost always proven to be a hoax or added by someone known to the children as a prank. If you were born in the 70s, you're lucky to be alive. The dead body mistaken for a Halloween decoration. Trigger warning, unaliving. The story goes that a realistic Halloween decoration like a hanging body, bloody figure, or skeleton turns out to be a real corpse, and people assume it's just another prop. One of the most famous cases occurred when a woman in Delaware died in 2005 by hanging herself from a tree near a road just before Halloween. For hours, passerby assumed her body was just a decoration until somebody reported it to the authorities. It happened again in 2014 in North Carolina. This time the body was found by a landscaper. Although this legend may have started in the 1990s, a mummified body found in a haunted attraction in Long Beach, California, shocked workers when they discovered the prop was the remains of Elmer McCurdy, an outlaw from the early 20th century. His body had been embalmed and somehow ended up in the haunted house, only to be discovered decades later when the prop broke. Killer in the backseat. I don't know why in my head I heard that to the tune of the Beats' Mirror in the Bathroom. The legend. The story involves someone, usually a woman, driving home alone at night when she notices a car or truck closely following behind her, flashing its lights repeatedly. She's frightened until she finally stops, only to learn that the driver behind her was trying to warn her about a killer in the back seat. The truth? 1964, an escaped murderer hid in the backseat of a woman's car in New York City, intending to kill her. Thankfully, she noticed him before anything happened. There was also a 1980s case in Chicago where a carjacker attacked someone by hiding in the backseat. The Bunny Man. The legend. The story of the Bunny Man started in Virginia in the 1970s, describing a man in a rabbit costume terrorizing people with an axe, supposedly hanging rabbit carcasses around the area. In some versions, he murders people at a bridge known as Bunny Man Bridge. The truth? It's a true story. In 1970, Fairfax County Police received numerous reports about a man dressed in a rabbit costume attacking people with an axe and damaging property, though no murders occurred, and the man was never identified. The body under the bed. The legend describes people checking into a hotel room with a strange odor, only to later find a dead body hidden under the bed. The truth? There are several real-life cases. In 1999, a woman's body was discovered under a bed in a Kansas City motel after guests complained about a terrible smell. Other cases have occurred in Nevada, New Jersey, and Florida. Also one of the rooms in the woefully underrated movie, 4 Rooms. Oh fuck, spoiler alert. The legend of Cropsey. The legend. In Staten Island, New York, children grew up hearing about Cropsey, a madman who roamed the woods near Willowbrook State School, abducting children and taking them into abandoned buildings. The truth? Also real. It was linked to Andre Rand, a former janitor at the school who was convicted of kidnapping multiple children in the 1970s and 80s. Several of the victims were never found. The babysitter and the man upstairs. The legend. The story of a babysitter receiving creepy phone calls telling her to check on the children, only for her to realize later that the calls were coming from inside the house. The truth? This tale may be based on the 1950 case of Janet Christman, a 13-year-old babysitter who was murdered in Missouri. Although there was no phone call inside the house, the crime does have some parallels to the legend, which then later became the plot of films like When a Stranger Calls. The 1979 version is superior to the remake. Deadly Lover's Lane. The legend. A couple parked in a secluded area, often called Lover's Lane, or wasn't it Makeout Point in Happy Days, is interrupted by a killer on the loose. Sometimes they hear strange noises, find a hook on the car door, or hear news of an escaped convict nearby. The truth, this legend also has several real-life counterparts, namely the Texarkana Phantom Killer murders in 1946. Known as the Moonlight Murders, the Phantom Killer attacked young couples parked in secluded areas. He was never caught. The kidney heist, the legend. A person wakes up in a bathtub full of ice with a note warning them to seek medical attention because one of their kidneys has been removed. The truth? Cases of organ trafficking have indeed occurred. In 2008, an Indian kidney trafficking ring was uncovered where doctors were illegally removing kidneys from unwilling patients. While these incidents don't exactly match the urban legend, they do confirm that organ harvesting is, in fact, a reality. Honorable mentions. The cursed phone number, the legend. People who use the phone number 0888-888-888 meet untimely deaths. The truth, this phone number, issued in Bulgaria, was allegedly cursed after 3 people who held it died in mysterious ways. The first was a CEO of a major phone company who died of cancer at 48. Cancer's not mysterious. The next 2 owners were both shot. The phone number was eventually deactivated, furthering the legend. And finally, the Phantom Jogger of Canyon Lake, the legend. People report seeing a phantom jogger who knocks on car doors before disappearing, usually late at night. The truth, a true story from Texas tells of a jogger who was hit by a car on Canyon Lake Dam in the early 2000s. Since then, many drivers report hearing a knock on their car windows as they drive by at night. Paranormal or not, this has kept the legend alive. Happy Halloween!